Come out and see our parts in urban Fresno, a city you might drive through someday. Come enjoy our fabulous river walks. We have motels with air conditioning, motels with color TV. You can always find happy endings in Fresno. A city infested with local color. Like insects, they emerge from the woodwork, fascinated by your strange machines. Stay in our spacious jail, conveniently located next to bail bonds. We have libraries where the poor can access pornography. Fresno, an all-American city literally bursting at the seams with steaming chunks of viscous fluid. Truly the rhinestone at the dusty center of the Golden State, Fresno!
I hate this town. God, I hate this town. I hate it like running out of toilet paper in a public bathroom on a Friday night. I hate it like rats that dodge traps and come back and live in your walls. I hate it like I hate stupid people made famous by their sheer revolting vapidness and buffoonery. That is to say, I love to hate this town. See, this city is like an abusive relationship. It always tells me it's gonna change. Oh yeah, downtown any day now, honey. Just come back. Takes the money out of my wallet, hits me in the head with a beer bottle, says have a nice day. This city has eaten my soul and it's fed my fever dreams. This city, I swear, is a congregation of all possible good and all possible evil, happening all times simultaneously. This city has broken me, fed me, cut me, wrecked me. It's been like the funny, abusive, drug addict uncle I never knew I wanted. Sometimes when I'm constructing a narrative of pure fiction, I refer to this city as Uncle Coco, the magical junkie pimp, with a wave of his enchanted crack pipe could get you the immaculate fix. Sometimes I hate this town. Sometimes I just hate this town. Sometimes I just can't stand it. Sometimes I just hate this town. I can't recover from it. I swear to God, pains me. Feels bad, gets inside my eyes, my soul creeps up like a worm right on my spine. I just hate this town sometimes. Been here too long already. And you probably have too. Can't take it. This town's loaded. You know what I'm talking about. Tore up from the floor up, shit-faced with dirty drawers. This town's yawning in Technicolor. This town's painting the room. This town's puking its guts out and passing the fuck out. And we are all holding its hair back. Under the flickering halogen and dimly lit bathrooms and seedy nightclubs we paid too much to get into. Nestled under every freeway out of town like the last stop to the apocalypse. This town has kept me fucked up and fucked me while I was trying to keep up, and it won't ever shut up with the sirens and the gunshots and the helicopters and the distant wailing of destitute lunatics with nothing left to lose or live for in their loveless, lack-loved lives, languishing in their stupidity, just humping the leg of the American dream, as the good doctor would say. Hey, we all get reamed at the end of the day. And I swear, there's a complete circuit here that electrocutes any rats who have the audacity to reach up too high in the maze. And it's grounding out into the smoldering asphalt on that river of tar we call the 99. Have you seen it? I like to think of it as picturesquely demilitarized. It's apocalyptastic. It's wasteland chic. It's a hop, skip, and a hammercock lock stock with your cock out kind of shock. It wipes your brain's ass with your spine and makes you pray to your God, makes you beg for your mama, makes you howl for your woman on cold nights with hard drinkers and bad scenes. It would choke the heavens with the stench of its desperation. The kind of shock that makes your hands reach for a blade, makes your hands reach for a bottle, makes your hands reach for another non-biodegradable, partially hydrogenated, fried, fattened, frosted fructose food product. God damn it, I hate this town. Block by block, it grows like a out-of-control cancer cluster, like a super mutant steroid, baby, like a science experiment gone wrong. Block by block, it's dotted like a twister board, it's littered like a battlefield, it's checkered like Nixon's dog. Block by block, we're all waiting for that ticking out of the clock. Playpen, a cell block, womb, a prison, either way, a jailbreak is gonna involve a lot of blood and screaming. Sometimes I hate this town. And it never shuts up. It never shuts up. It never shuts up with its gunshots and sirens and wailing and the raised voices of 1,000 defunct basehead burnout Cro-Mags sprawled across the sidewalk like the city sprawls out across the land, undead in a concrete cemetery, still kicking in a four-wheel coffin where the air is poison and the asphalt burns and the flies eat your eyes while you're still alive, stuck in the infernal loop of sprawl. No parking, no left turn, one way, do not enter. I hate this town. I hate this town. That is to say, I love to hate this town.
Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity, the teachers of unnatural sex acts, had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. We know that once a person is perverted, it is practically impossible for that person to adjust to normal attitudes in regard to sex.
All right. So we're going to lighten this up a little bit and talk about sex.
Yeah!
Something everybody loves. So let me offer a little intro to this. We live in a culture that's often not very sex positive. And women know this more than anyone because they get the most shit for enjoying sex. Whereas men are congratulated for this, right? And it's not that way all over the world. Some places, like you go to Europe, people are a lot more open about that shit. They don't have the same kind of stigma. And of course, we have a background with very puritanical culture, and that affects how we think about it. So I am a very sex positive person. I think sex is good if it's handled responsibly. Just like anything where you can mess somebody up, right? You got to handle it responsibly, just like drinking. So I want to offer a sex-positive sermon for everyone here that I like to entitle, just go with me on this one, it'll be a lot easier. This is the lube stage, right? Just to ease the transition. This is just to ease the transition. This is about getting better ass. And notice I said better, not more. Because if more people were getting better ass on a more better basis, the world might be a, more better place. And I'm not the first person to postulate this idea. It's not revolutionary. Many before me have said this. But it's pretty obvious, and we all know it, that when you're lying on the floor after explosive, consecutive, multiple orgasms, it can be hard enough to pry your ass off the carpet to get a cigarette, much less pump 30 or 40 bullets into somebody, no matter how much you may hate that motherfucker. You just want to eat ice cream and sleep. Right? Brings out the best in you. And we all know this. Everything looks prettier and smells sweeter, and the whole world has had its volume turned down because you just got your rocks off. Whatever you want to call it. You shot, you load, you blew, you goo, you came, you went, you howled at the moon, whatever the fuck you want to call a fuck, as long as you're not calling it making love. And even if it's true, that shit sounds lame. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real good sex. Not that goofy, slow motion, Hollywood, soft filtered, candlelit, satin sheets always stay on, cinematic lie, where it never looks too rough and the thrusting of the pelvis is kept to a bare minimum to get the point across. I'm talking about fucking. And this is the sermon part, the part with the call and response. Raise your hand if you understand.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see the second to last row. Do you not understand? Como es voulez-vous my butt? Open your eyes. If the eyes have it, I want you to sound off like you like to get off. And if you all do it, you don't have to be shy. Here we go. Recognize the necessity of toe-curling, wall-clawing, rock and roll sex as vital as the blood running through our body. A life-maintaining and affirming force. Can I get an amen? Amen! We recognize that nice car, big dick, fake tits, decent lay doth not make. The skill, the will, and the love of the game win out every time. Can I get a hallelujah? Hallelujah! And we understand that real good sex is an undeniable state. And this is not open to negotiations. I mean, the more you try to suppress, regress, and repossess sex while you celebrate your success against excess because you make women wear a dress that looks like a fucking beekeeper's outfit, I mean, the more your efforts are going to coalesce into one big-ass mess. And I'm talking to the general morality cabal on this one. The finger pointers, judgy. The frowning disapprovers. The ones who we all know more than anyone desperately need to get laid. The more you try to shut down, stifle, squelch, outlaw, and marginalize the forces of lust, the more it comes back. Stronger, kinkier, and freakier. Always down to get it up and always up to go down. Gonna get a, oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Oh, listen to that unity. Hallelujah. You can pontificate, you can preach, you can retrain, you can teach, you can extol and make a speech. But the ones you just can't reach are the ones who don't want it, don't get it, and have bought the bullshit so thoroughly they don't even know how to enjoy a good fuck anymore. And they gasp at the mention of the act so brazenly. You know the type I'm talking about. Sour-faced, tight-assed. You know, for breeding purposes only on your wedding night, man on top, get the job done quick in missionary position, and then pray for forgiveness. You know, the kind of sex most people like to imagine our parents had only once before we were born. Oh, and even that image. Oh. Now, I don't mean to sound like a self-righteous asshole, but the fact of the matter is, I am. I'm loath to lecture, but I'd rather offer a conjecture that real good sex ain't no magic trick, no matter how tricky you think your dickie may be. I didn't mean to look at you. I'm gonna go hit this side of it. Because I'm telling you, it doesn't take a lifetime of turning tricks to tell real magic from a mirage, just like it doesn't take a masseuse to tell a hand job from a massage. Can't be written down in blueprints, doesn't lend well to charts and graphs, and despite what those fashion magazines tell you, we all know that the 150 different ways to please your lover all basically this variation of the speed and the rotation of the tongue. So that being said, is there anyone so arrogant, so rife with certitude that they would have the answers to improve your sex life besides me? I mean, does this sound familiar? Ladies, do your breasts sag too much when you're laying down? Fellas, add 4 inches to the shaft. Last longer. Go all night. Stay in the game. 36 hours of readiness. Ribbed for her pleasure. Trimmed to his satisfaction. Available without prescription. No experience necessary. No confidence required. No knowledge of your own genitalia needed. No feeling for the other recommended. Just get it up, get it in, get off, and get on with your life, as the Bible intended, you know? As if good sex was some kind of pill you could pop, or a machine you could turn on, or a secret you could find in the supermarket checkout stand, and not some kind of, I don't know, greater understanding, maybe? I mean, real good sex cannot be commodified or monetized, and it often starts with the one organ you cannot put your hands on. Now, I ain't no wise man and no guru. I don't know voodoo from juju or a waltz from a boogaloo, to tell you the truth, but there's a few tips and tricks, frequently asked questions, common elucidations, universal truths, and well-beaten off paths. Did I say that out loud? Did I say that? They glow like traveler's lamps in the night. So allow me to illuminate. 1, communication. Yeah, it seems cliche, I know. But you ever try to surprise someone with analingus? Oh, you're not cool? I mean, maybe you like to get puked on or something. I don't know. Whatever your kick is. I mean, maybe you want to have your cock and balls stapled to your stomach while your significant other dresses in a, I don't know, a black latex nun outfit and smacks you in the testicles and leather-studded copy of the Bible. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You know, she's like, how did you know? Suddenly this became a psychic. Figure out your sexual kinks. Oh, that's great for next year. I'm telling you, you got to talk about that kind of shit first, especially the kinky stuff, right? Because if you can't talk about it, how are you ever going to actually do it? Because peeing in someone's butt is not a third date kind of thing. Communication. In committed and non-committed. Number 2, confidence. Never underestimate the power of sexiness that confidence exudes. I mean, you ever had sex with a virgin? Yeah, me neither. But if I can imagine it, what a drag it might be on your wedding night to bed down with some hapless, kind of meandering greenhorn who pokes too hard and licks too soft and comes like it was a fucking accident, you know? I mean, you could be tanned and toned with a 14-inch dick or a pair of perfect tits or an ass that won't quit or a bacon-flavored clit or... or balls that sweat diamonds. It don't mean shit unless you got the goad to get it. So I say leave the lights on or fuck in the daytime. Commit to your lecherous advances and cop a feel like you mean it. Yeah, do it with bravado, do it with gusto, do it with the exuberance of a dog escaping from a hot car, you know? Know what I'm talking about? Love it. Number 3, the most awkward. Self-love. I'm not talking about esteem. I'm talking about manipulating your junk. Can you dig it? Know what you like. Know how that shit works. Know how the plumbing operates. You know what I mean? Don't be ashamed about it. Everybody always says, well, I don't do that shit. Yeah, let me tell you something. The only people who don't jerk off are fucking amputees. And that's because they can't. They would if they could. It's natural. Fetuses do it in the womb. We found that through science. So don't be ashamed. Everybody goes that route sometimes all the time. I mean, I'll confess right now, I ain't no vegetarian. I'm into my meat. You know what I'm talking about? And this is going to be real awkward because I have family members in the audience, but I'm going to do it anyway. My sister's back there. Just. I'm into my meat. Beating it, stroking it, pulling it, tugging on it, alone, sexually frustrated, Davy Crockett in the wilderness, living off the fat of the hand. And he went for it. That's a ballsy motherfucker right there. That's ballsy. And goddamn it, I'm good at it. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't no stranger. If self-love was an Olympic sport, I'd be like Michael Phelps. All-American. High as a kite. Giving it 110%, taking home 5 gold medals when I got 5 minutes to spare. 1 minute per medal. And when it comes to self-love, I'm so good, my own afterglow causes cancer. I'm so good, my left hand waits for my right hand to fall asleep so it can sneak into the kitchen and make a ham sandwich. You know what I'm talking about, fellas? I'm so good, I'm running out of curtains to rip off the wall. I'm running out of lamps to break. I'm running out of tables to knock over. I'm running out of deities' names to call out. Check it out. Wednesday night at my household. Look away. Don't laugh. You're supposed to keep a straight face. Ron Burgundy, everybody. Fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways. Oh, sorry, I'm making eye contact. Indulge me. Oh, God. Buddha, Rama, Vishnu, Muhammad, Gaia, Odin, Amenhotep, Dasha, Dancer, Comet, Cupid, Cindy, Jan, and Marsha Brady, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm fucking good. Oh. I'm so good, I'm basically running out of excuses to show up late for work. Left hands for love making, the right's for fucking. I'm teaching them sign language so they can talk dirty to each other, you know what I'm talking about? I mean, when it comes to self-love, I could school race car champs in the graceful application of the stick shift. I could teach Mozart a thing or two about proper fingering. I mean, when it comes to self-love, I'm like Mr. Miyagi. Waxing on and waxing off. With the grace of a Shaolin warrior monk. When it comes to self-love, I'm like Conan, ruling over my own kingdom with an iron fist. Firm yet supple. When it comes to self-love, I'm my own Messiah, and the second coming is always on time. When it comes to self-love, I'm a cheap date, an easy lay, a teetotaler, a nymphomaniac, an enthusiastic giver. I'm always in charge, I know what I like, and I never have to say, I love you. Because it's just me, these two, and the other 3. Math humor. If I was ambidextrous, shit. I would be at one with myself. You know what I mean? So I say, don't be ashamed, man. Tackle that shit. When in doubt, whip it out. Rock out with your cock out. Or jam out with your clam out. For the metal mamas in the audience, thrash about with your gash out. Yeah. Because if you can't love yourself, how are you going to show any tenderness? And that brings me to the last stage. It's number 4. Feelings. Feelings. Yeah, there I said it. There it is, coming from this calloused exterior. Feelings. Kind of helps if you have feelings for somebody, you know what I mean? Some kind of regard or respect or admiration that gets your heart beating and your blood pumping and your loins all heated with the thought of them tied to your bed wearing nothing but handcuffs and a smile. Maybe a little salad dressing. You know what I'm talking about? That wonderful state of bliss when you're wrapped up and you're stripped down and you're naked in a way only raw passion and fire can invoke. Sex like it was a narcotic or a transcendental religious experience or 21st century disillusionment, because the difference between casual sex and passionate sex is like the difference between climbing a mountain and climbing your Stairmaster. Now I could drop gratuitous metaphors to the end of the millennia, but it doesn't dilute the righteous truth. The great epics have never been written about getting strange, nor have sonnets been composed about poontang, to use the slang. Now, I'm not about selling out the cold, calculating hunt of getting some so you can get to come. Whether you're young or old, shy or bold, smart or dumb. But if you're the latter rather than the former, allow me to persuade you to, hold your goo. Wrap your dick, take your pills, don't spread any ills, and choose not to breathe. That's okay. Sometimes that's all you want and all you need. But make no mistake about it. Yes, some of you are like, make no mistake about it. Easy is not a substitute for meaningful. And if it really was just cliche, then the poets wouldn't write about it, and the musicians wouldn't wail about it, and Romeo and Juliet would just seem like a couple of overdramatic teenagers. I mean, eros, ineffable feelings, love. Shit's real. We know. Not real like Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster or Crisis Actors or that's a dig. Or the American Dream, you know. Real like an earthquake or a riot or a sledgehammer to the skull, but it has a little less pain than either of those three. Now, this little short list may not be the end-all, cure-all, be-all, the problems of libido that have plagued mankind since the time we've been fucking in caves, from the moment you discovered the happy spot to the day you're dropped in your grave, whether you're a man, a woman, top or bottom, dom or slave. But hey, fighting the good fight doesn't have to be such a dreary proposition when an orgasm is a protest. I like to call it activism with benefits. So don't be ashamed. Know what you want. Be okay with it. And I say, you want to have a good time, leave that Puritan fundamentalist crap at the front door. Or back door, whatever puts a smile on your face. In the end, it's all about sharing, caring, and getting it on. It's all about real good sex. You love it. You know it. Now get out there tonight and show it. You can trust me, I'm a prophet.
And I wonder at this point in my life if hating the youth is something that's just a function of aging. If I'm just gonna get older and hate kids more, and that's what happened to that old man on your block. Get off my lawn! He's just having it here with his shenanigans. And I don't know why. I'm 37 now. I hate kids. I have for since I've been a kid. And I wonder if it's just a natural function of aging, so we resent them for having access to the advances that we didn't have as children, but they totally take it for granted, because they grow up with it, it's expected. But we wish we could have. Some of that shit's like Star Trek, and you're like, man, if I had that when I was a kid, it'd be amazing. So we end up resenting them for something that we probably had. Like, I'm sure people thought that about VCRs. Fucking kids with their movies, they could watch the motion pictures and the TV. So So what happens is, it gets disturbing, and I'm not that old, I'm only 37, and I'm already starting to be nostalgic for things that suck, which is never a good position to be in. And so I end up finding myself blocking some poor millennial having his first, legal beer at a bar, and I'm gonna block him into the booth and explain why his problems are trivial bullshit and mine are totally unique and valid. And of course, he doesn't want, he whips out his phone to ignore me like any sensible person would, and I immediately tune in on that phone, and I start to do this weird, not quite old enough version of back in my day. So he whips out his phone, like, back in my day, we didn't have them fancy inner tube phones. If we wanted to meet girls, we couldn't do it on the internet. We had to do it the old-fashioned way, by crouching in their bushes outside the bedroom window, watching them sleep. And if we wanted a good picture of TNA to jerk off to while we were thinking about them, we couldn't just look on the internet. We had to do it the old-fashioned way by breaking into their house and sifting through their photo albums, looking through their mail, reading their diary, making sure they weren't dirty Jezebels that were going to betray our trust. And if we wanted to get a girl's attention, we couldn't send her a poke or a tweet or a kick in the cunt or a smiley face or whatever. Instagram. We had to do it the old-fashioned way by slitting our wrists on her doorstep. Maybe shooting Ronald Reagan. Or maybe writing "fuck pig" in red lipstick on the windshield of her mother's minivan. And that's the way it was and the way we liked it. Yeah, it's disturbing. And you kids with your internet porn. When I was your age, I had to jerk off to static non-moving images printed on cellulose paper. We called them magazines back in the day. They cost money. I couldn't even get decent penetration shots. Most places like TNA, maybe the occasional blowjob, and they had to buy it all furtively. But you kids nowadays with your interweb phones, you can download pregnant she-male vomit porn right in the comfort of your neighbor's kitchen. See, back in my day, if I wanted something exotic, like polydactyl nuns fisting midgets or something, it's an extra digit for the extra girl. I had to do it the old-fashioned way by taking the 32 downtown and buying it from an alleyway, guy in a white Ford Econoline van with the windows blacked out, and you swear you could hear muffled cries from the inside and the rattling of chains, and you swear there was blood on his hand when he handed you the VHS tape. But back in my day, we had a thing called privacy. We didn't meddle in people's affairs. And porn cost money. Remember that? Back in my day, porn cost money. If you had money only for drugs or porn, you had to choose. Drugs, porn, drugs. But then what are you left with? Watching the scrambled porn on the cable television back in my day. Oh yeah, those were the days, weren't they? Watching for hours, hoping to catch a fleeting glimpse of a vagina or a nipple, working your pud into a lather for hours, just to realize at the end of the night you were looking at some greasy furball 70s porn guy's hairy ass crack. That was my day. We liked that sucked actually. Terrible. I used to adolescence. And back in my day, we didn't have your fancy medical marijuana dispensaries where they deliver. We didn't have dope dealers, we had drug dealers. They sold all kinds of shit. They didn't deliver. I had to drive clear across town for overpriced eighth of brick-packed Mexican shitweed, and it was all full of stems and seeds back in the day. Nowadays, you kids got your hydroponics. See, I had to go to the drug dealer's house. He operated out of the sketchiest, noisiest, most fucked up house in the whole neighborhood. Everybody knew about it. We called it raid bait back in the day. And you'd be waiting for hours, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'll get my shit, hold on, I'll get my shit." And you're like, "Oh, no, I'll come back later." He's like, "No, man, hold on, I got my shit." And then he gets in a fight with his jailbait girlfriend who's like 3.5 track marks shy of a Motel 6 working girl, and he's yelling, and she's throwing shit, and you're like, "I'm just gonna come back, man, later." And he's like, "No, man, stay, stick around. no, man, I'll get the shit. And then you're sitting on the couch and tweakers are coming and going. You even wonder why they have a front door in the first place. Fucking things open. Stray dogs are wandering in and out. He's smoking crack out of a light bulb on the couch. You're like, all right, I'll stay. You got the shit, and you do the transactions. Like, where are you going, man? Aren't you gonna smoke a few bowls with me first, man? Come on, aren't you gonna smoke a few bowls? That way, you can look forward to being high and paranoid as you drive home with contraband in your pocket, staring in your rear view mirror with the flashing red and blue lights. Because back in my day, we didn't have the cell phone video. So if you got pulled over by the cops, you could get beaten, robbed, and sodomized with a nightstick, and there was no viral video that was gonna get on the internet, which was also a blessing and a curse because that means there was no, Fox News cop ball fondlers breaking it down frame by frame to show how, they weren't beating you while you were unconscious. They were merely blocking your savage PCP-fueled headbutt attacks with their truncheons. Which everybody laughs, but that was actual legal defense in the Rodney King acquittal. I'm not kidding, look it up. I can talk about the cops for days, but I won't. I'll stick to the Christmas theme. I had a point there. The point is that some shit I'm glad didn't come along in my childhood. And I'm sure some of you feel the same way, because I was a fucking annoying teenager, man. Big into catchphrases. And the lab, there's no online catalog of every stupid thing I said and posted. And like, God, when I was young, that must be difficult to grow up with. Can you imagine the hellish disillusionment that these poor millennial kids are going to go through? Like everybody that got a YOLO neck tattoo. Right there. YOLO, you only live once, bro. They got the YOLO tattoo, and in about 20 years, like most other people, they're going to be slogging through the hellish disappointment that is their lives. But only they're going to have an online catalog of every place they fucked up, just like a sports blooper reel for their life, That blogging position intern for talking about tech and fashion trends didn't quite work out like you thought it would, so you end up working in a telemarketing office in some cubicle-staged shithole in a dilapidated strip mall in the shitty end of town. You gotta fight through rush hour traffic to get to the stable salt mine job that you hate, like a long, slow death march, some kneeling middle manager standing over you, 15 years your senior, your junior, cracking a whip, bellowing about meeting sales quotas. You gotta keep a bottle of Gilby's in the bottom just to make it through the day. But it's better than home, right? I mean, the cesspit at home is even worse. What with Angela nagging you constantly about financial worries because the house is underwater, and the marriage turned sour after she shat out your third mule and cabbage head from her womb. I mean, you didn't even want it. Like, she was supposed to be on the pill, but she's Catholic, so she's conveniently forgotten. You went back to buying condoms, even though she got so fucking corpulent after Levi and Jaden were born. You can't even keep your dick hard when you fuck her anymore, so the condom rolled off like a gym sock with the elastic band stretched out at the end. Got scrunched up inside that pile of rotten lunch meat she calls a vagina. Think about it. You knocked her up with half a squirt of dog water that you squeezed out while you were red-faced and turning away so you didn't smell her breath and thinking about the neighbor's daughter gardening in her Daisy Dukes. Not that you're any spring chicken or Angela would notice. She's so shit-faced half the time. She'd be getting spit roasted by a fucking clown and a chimpanzee doing the wobbly H, the Eiffel Tower high five. She wouldn't even notice. She'd just roll over, stuff a crocodile in her mouth, shit the bed, and pass out like she does every Friday night. Because both of you have given up on each other. I mean, your marriage is on life support because trying to keep your shit together for the kids who long since developed a healthy disrespect of dad because Angela's always talking shit about you behind your back. because you couldn't buy him an iPhone 50 for Christmas. Even though you keep those rotten little shits and Cheetos and Big Macs and Cablevision. I mean, God forbid Dad ever have a good night, go out, spend some of his hard-earned money at the strip club, drop a couple singles, maybe lose a little money at the table with the boys now and again. It's not like you didn't sacrifice your hopes and your dreams to get stuck in this dull, fucking, grinding, monotonous, hellish rut. You only live once, bro. So what happens? What happens? You turn to the pills, right? OxyContin's great, but it's so expensive, so you just move on to heroin pretty soon. You're so strung out you can't even hold your 9-to-5 job that you hate anymore, so you end up working part-time under the counter at a graveyard shift at a dildo shop, scraping hobo squack off of plexiglass windows for Peep Show, just so you can keep cashing your government check, feed that habit, right? Right? Am I wrong? IRS puts a tax lien on your house. Angela took off with the kids, left you with a summons to appear at a custody hearing. Pretty soon you're shooting up in your toes because the veins in your arms and legs have collapsed. You know, you got bench warrants in Modoc County and a deadbeat dad rap sheet. Angela won't bring the kids over to visit anymore. She won't even bring them to visit just because you live in a single wide. It's not your fault there's a meth lab next door because you live on the open sewage end of town. It's all you can afford. I mean, so what if you gain 60 pounds from your daily 32-ounce King Cobra power chug at high noon? It's not your fault that diabetes made your feet look like eggplants. I mean, when you're not pissing blood, the kidney stones got you stopped up tighter than a vigilant altar boy's asshole at a Catholic priest convention, you know? I mean, what have you got in your life at this point anyway? You only live once, bro. Yeah, you only live once. You spend your days huffing fucking oven cleaner and smoking rocks out of light bulbs and masturbating to increasingly depraved pornography and poring over 20-year-old Facebook posts about how your life used to represent potential and hope and unfettered from the cruel, fucked up downward spiral of now. You only live once, bro. So you wake up from a horse tranquilizer coma on Christmas Eve. After 3 days of laying in your own vomit and feces, you decide to grow the balls to do the one thing right in your miserable, no good, fucked up life. Blow your brains out. Aw, at this point, really? You're like, there's so much hope. How bad does it have to get? And that's exactly what you're thinking. You only live once, bro. How bad does it have to get? The movie's been shit up until now. Might as well walk out. Check out. So you load up the shotgun with slugs because you're going to do one thing right. You load a rock into the light bulb just to give you some of that artificial courage. You sit up in the bathroom, you sit on the toilet, that way then the kids find you. The mess will be easy to clean up off the linoleum tile. And you prop your chin up on the barrel of the shotgun. You look into the mirror, you haggard mug for one kind of fucked up, ironic goodbye to yourself. And the years haven't been kind, have they? Oh, God, your gums have receded, your teeth are like rodent chisels that have worn down from the rage-induced grinding, your eyes blank, like the post-trauma stare of a sex crime victim. Your face looks like rotten cottage cheese, all covered with cigarette burns and festering lesions. You know, a little love letter from all those crack whores you plowed who took rocks for pay. That's when you see it. Faded lettering on the side of your neck. Right there. YOLO. Nestled in between a boil and a herpes scar. Like a middle child in a dysfunctional family photo. Belongs there. Just a painful reminder of your aborted life. You only live once, Cochise, and you fucked it all up. Boom!
And that's the show. Thanks, NorCal Fringe, for watching. Sorry to go out on such a bummer, but you know, sometimes that's just the way it is. Life is shit, and you gotta keep laughing. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to find out more about me, go to my website, ShaneScurvyspears.com. That's Scurvy with no E, with just a Y. It's easy. You can look me up on the Google, the YouTube, the Insta, social networks. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur, but you can drag me down. I'll leave the link right here at the, maybe up at the top, or I don't know, maybe down at the bottom of the screen.